Good morning, everybody. As many of you know, my grandmother, Maxine Peterson Gordon, passed away yesterday about 4 a.m. So I thought I'd just ride out here to Lakeshore and take a little video. This is the house where she was raised, right here in Lakeshore. This would have been the Peterson farm. I don't think the house has changed much over the years, as you can see. This is right down here in Lakeshore. Just gonna take a quick, easy ride and show you a couple of really neat landmarks. It's like the kids are out here waiting for the bus. It's a pretty long drive into town. It's about 4 miles, actually probably about 6 miles up to the junior high. This was the real hub in most of our lifetimes. This was the Rig Trip egg farm. They used to have a store in there. You could come get all your baseball cards, Big League Chew, sodas, any of that good stuff. We used to walk up all the time. This is my brother Casey's new house, new to him, that he just bought a couple months ago. It was Vay Huff's old house. Okay, here's one of our first really important landmarks since we're in this vicinity, and that is the Lakeshore Church. Reed Nelson always said, the church is truer in Lakeshore than anywhere else. And I think he may have been right. I still consider this my church. Whenever I talk about church and religion, this really is the place for me. Very special place. A lot of good people went to church here, and I can tell you that the Lakeshore Church, I know in the Lakeshore First Ward was a very good and wholesome place to be. I never once had bad feelings about the Lakeshore Church. There's the Gordon Brothers Dairy. Out here in Lakeshore, we refer to distance by fields. So we would say that this is one field east of the Gordon Brothers Dairy. It's a pretty long way, but we'll just drive around. Of course, we're going to be very, very careful because we are driving. But if you've ever been to Lakeshore, you know there's probably only going to be about 2 or 3 cars that we even encounter. Now, right over here used to be the Lakeshore Elementary School, which was built in 1922, and it was a really great building. Great old brick building, beautiful building. Everybody from Lakeshore and Benjamin went to the Lakeshore School. I think about 1987, I think it was, that they stopped conducting school there because the wiring was old, and it was the old cloth covered wiring, and rather than trying to rewire the school and so on, they just went ahead and demolished it, which to me was a total loss. But that's how we do her out here in the West. We're going to try and change that. We're going to try and start to restore some of these great old buildings. Here's another top landmark for you folks. Now owned by Scott and Lori Euler and their family. And it could not have gone to better people. This was originally my Uncle Kim's place. Uncle Kim and Aunt Thurza and all their kids. And that is a very, very special place to me. Kim and Thurza had a really great way about them. They were as honest as the day is long. They were excellent parents and excellent neighbors and hard workers and productive and just good people. Also, Aunt Thurs likes music, and I can remember being in that house and listening to the Doobie Brothers as she was doing her chores during the day. Us kids would just be making blanket tents, or we used to stack up pillows and do all kinds of different huts. We just had so much fun down in Lakeshore. You just imagine the freedom of this being your front yard. This was literally my front yard. Here's the house that I was raised in, right here. And my mom planted those trees right there, and this was the Gordon Brothers Dairy. Now this is probably my favorite place in my whole existence right here, Gordon Brothers Dairy. And I think my grandpa started this dairy back in the 40s with my Uncle Keith, and we all got a chance to do a lot of good work on this farm. This was the new barn that they built. I can't remember when this was built, but I think it was in the 1970s, that barn right there. This was the dry pen. Milk pen was back there, or this was the heifer pen. That was the heifer pen. Since then, Brett Herbst has bought this farm, and from what I understand, he's a heck of a great guy. He does corn mazes all over the world, from what I understand, and owns corn bellies as well. And I think, from what I understand, all the little kids just love corn bellies. I know Pensley loves it. It's one of her favorite things. So it's really neat for me to realize that the Gordon Brothers Dairy went into such good hands, and it just makes perfect sense because my grandpa Ted was the epitome of a hard-working, selfless, quiet man of deeds. He taught by deeds and by actions. He was a man of few words, but to this day, he's provided for literally hundreds of people. Because he got his start in his teens down in the Provo River bottoms, managing orchards and doing farm work down there. All the Gordon boys were good hard workers and very honest and diligent people. They had to take good care of their mother, who was crippled, and all of the boys, from what I understand, took really, really good care of their mother, which is a quality that is very, very dear to me, because I have to say that the mother has got to be the most important being in our human existence. So here's where my grandma and grandpa moved. This would have been back in probably the late 90s when they finally sold the herd, and as my grandpa would put it, moved down onto the bottom. Moved down onto the bottom. So they put up this house here, moved down here, and as you can see right there, Ted and Maxine's place, and kept hold of some equipment. Good old Holland hay wagon there. I think they kept one good John Deere tractor and a few things. There's Jed's old 68 Chevy. I've always been very partial to 68 through 72 Chevy pickups, and some older ones too, but those are definitely my favorite years, 68 through 72. Probably came from Jed, because I always idolized Jed. So still got some farm equipment back here. My cousin Justin, who reminds me so much of my grandpa Ted, has done a lot of farming to this day, and in my mind is definitely one of the most true and deserving Gordons that came from Grandpa Ted, who had a lot of the same ideals as my grandpa. Teaches by deeds and just does not ever run his mouth. Now Grandma, she took care of that side of things. she was one that would get feisty and would stir the pot and do all those kinds of things. My grandpa, he'd just sit there and let her be herself. Pretty amazing people. My grandma was really, really active. Like I talked about, she was way into bowling. She was left-handed, and she bowled throughout most of her life, and she played on traveling leagues and all kinds of things. And the funny thing was, she was a staunch Mormon, but if you've ever been up to Duke's Lanes in Spanish Fork, it was just chain smoking, you know, beer drinking, good old place, good old American place. They served burgers and real cut French fries and the whole shebang. My grandma spent tons of time up at the bowling alley, and so she had this, even though she was a staunch Mormon, she lived it through and through. Wouldn't have dreamed of touching a drop of coffee or anything like that. She was not above spending a lot of time with folks who did, and fundamentally just knew that people were, it wasn't your habits and your vices that made your character. It was your deeds and the intent of your heart and your beliefs and your testimony. And I just wanted to take this quick video and pay tribute to my lovely grandparents and my grandma who just passed away yesterday. So have a great day.